Hybrid training looks complicated because the internet made it complicated. Most people aren't failing their strength and endurance training. They're just doing way too much. If you look up hybrid training online, you're going to find so many different opinions. You should lift 5 days a week, run 4 days a week. You should lift 3 days a week, run 3 days a week. And it's just really hard to get a grasp on where you should start or what you should be doing. And the problem is that no one tells you what actually matters. You're taking programs, you're stacking them on top of each other. You're chasing higher volume, you're chasing higher miles. You just end up spinning your wheels. You get kind of good at one and not good at the other. It's not that hybrid training is hard. It's just there's no filter on what really matters when you go and try and train strength and endurance. And here's the thing. Hybrid training doesn't need more methods or more programs or more whiz bang. It needs more rules. You need some guardrails to put up to keep yourself on track. And you'll find when you institute these rules and you put those guardrails up, it becomes more simple, something that you can do over the long course of time and make good progress. It doesn't become easier, but it does become more clear. And clarity is what is missing for most people's hybrid programs. Let's get the first rule out of the way because I know you're not going to want to hear it. And that is you can't ride two horses with one ass. You're not going to start hybrid training and magically get faster and stronger all at the same time. While you can get faster and stronger, yes, it's over the course of time. Over this last year, I competed in powerlifting events, several runs, and the runs that I really wanted to excel and do well in, I had to strongly focus on my endurance. For my powerlifting meets, I had to focus on my strength. If I did the same running volume I was doing for the half marathon training I did while trying to train for powerlifting, I would have been weaker. Yes, you can get stronger and you can get faster. You just have to do it in a way where your training lines up with the goals that you have and you stack those training blocks over time. It all adds up to you being faster and stronger. It just doesn't happen like that. Rule number 2 is where most people mess up. You want to get better at a thing, you just do more of the thing. Well, strength and endurance should complement each other, and they don't actually compete with one another. There's been plenty of studies that show that increasing your endurance does help your strength, and increasing strength does help your endurance. But what does interfere with all of that is too much volume. This shows up when someone's lifting, heavy 4 or 5 times a week. They're running 4 or 5 times a week. They're pushing their distances. They're doing, Metcon finishers at the end of their workouts. They're just push. And what happens is you're just under recovering. You're just not going to be able to recover from that volume. And when that happens, you're not going to get any stronger. You're not going to get any faster. You're not going to improve your endurance, and you're not going to improve your strength. And things are just going to decline. You're going to throw your hands up and you're going to get frustrated. That's not hybrid training. That's just piling stress inputs on top of stress inputs. When your volume is controlled properly, your strength will support your endurance. Your endurance will support your recovery. But that only happens when you stop treating every session like you've got to go all out, like you've got something to prove. The third rule is probably the least exciting, but it's the most important. And that's consistency beats complexity every time. You don't need a smarter program. What you need is a program that you can do repeatedly every day, every week, every month without under-recovering and without killing yourself. Hybrid training works best when it's just boring enough to be sustainable. In my experience, progress doesn't come from just doing more, throwing more at the wall and hoping that it sticks. It comes from each day, each training session having a clear intended purpose. So if it's a strength day, that's a strength day. If it's an endurance day, that's an endurance day. If it's a recovery day, that is a recovery day. Treat it as such. Stop trying to make every single session jam-packed with both. Once you stop trying to chase balance, that's where real progress is. And when I say balance, I don't mean balance between volume and recovery. That's important. What I mean is trying to balance strength and endurance within a single session or within, back-to-back sessions. Make those sessions dedicated. Dedicate each day and each workout to a very specific focus. If any of these rules made you go, ooh, That's me, then this channel is exactly for you. This is Lift Living. We're here to do hybrid training, strength and endurance training without all the fluff, not all the super steroided up, influencers and giving you these crazy programs and high miles and big lifts, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love the big lifts in particular. But this channel is more about the practicality of combining strength and endurance. And if you look in the notes or if you look somewhere on the screen, I'll put a barcode to a simple template program that you can download that just shows you a schedule. So it's not overly complicated. It basically just breaks down on the days you should run, what kinds of run, and the days you should lift if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So super, super simple. It's going to have a basic breakdown for you because, like I said earlier, you don't need more. You need to break it down to the essentials and focus on every single one of those sessions with a clear purpose. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, lift big, but live bigger. I'll see you in the next video.